Welcome to Brain Friends, where two neuro nerds talk all things aphasia, language recovery, culture, and community. I am Dr. Davetrina Seles Gadson, a clinical speech-language pathologist and neuroscientist.
And I am Angie Cauthorn, stroke survivor and aphasia advocate.
Welcome to our show.
Welcome to Brain Friends.
We want to thank all of our listeners for downloading the podcast. We appreciate everyone listening, so please tell a friend to tell a friend that we are here.
And we are.
Hey, Angie.
Hey, Dr. Celeste, what is going on?
How are you?
You know what? I am fantastic. Just out here doing what I do. Getting ready for a couple of conferences and some other things like that. What is cracking on your side? What's going on at DC? How's the research at Georgetown? What's going on?
Oh my God, things are so busy right now. So preparing for conference season, for me, it looks like submitting research, analyzing new data. And so I have been gratefully knee deep in new analysis and trying to answer research questions.
Oh, wow.
Writing abstracts, getting papers out. Yeah, so I have one coming up in Charleston, which I'm really excited about, Charleston, South Carolina. And then there's one that I'm submitting to, one of my favorite conferences, that is in Jersey this year. So fingers crossed, because I would love to come out to Atlantic City, New Jersey.
Oh, for the CAC.
Okay, come on. Yes, the Clinical Aphasiology Conference, the CAC.
Well, fun fact, your girl is the keynote responder.
Already? Yes. See, so now I got to definitely push to get this abstract submitted and hopefully accepted so we can be in those CAC streets together.
These streets, on these broad walks, doing it. Yeah, they asked me to be the keynote responder. And I actually have a meeting coming up in a few days to discuss how something like that might work or what that looks like. So I'm excited. But yeah, I guess I would see you there.
Oh my God. This is one of my favorite conferences.
Really?
Out of all of them. Yeah. I've always enjoyed this conference.
What is that makes this one different versus like the one that was just in New Orleans or Aphasia Access? What's the difference? Because I've never been to a CAC. Yeah.
So the thing that I like about CAC is that it's a smaller conference, and so it's not going to be as large as the one that was in New Orleans. And so it gives you an opportunity to really meet other scholars, meet other students, connect, talk about research. I find that this conference really aligns a lot with my viewpoint in aphasia, which is asking the patient quality of life. And I feel like they're really open to diversity. Hence, you've already been invited to be the keynote respondent. And I was the keynote respondent last year. And so just the point that they're continuing. Yeah.
A responder?
Yeah, myself and Dr. Charles Ellis. I know you know him. Yes. Shout out, Dr. Ellis.
What's up, Chuck? Let me stop calling him Chuck. He's like, I don't know you like that. No, Dr. Ellis.
Yeah, so I really like that part. And then the other part that I like about this conference that can sometimes be a good thing or a bad thing, but in order to go to the conference, you have to submit something. And so it's not one of those conferences that you can kind of go to and, I don't want to say warm the pew, as we would say.
Right. Everybody's doing something.
You're bringing your idea, even if your presentation doesn't get accepted, but you're contributing something to the science and scholarship. And the people are nice. Sometimes, look, honey, everybody ain't nice.
Right.
So that's one thing that I do enjoy about this. I think that there's a level of genuine interest.
I found that I spoke at a conference. The first time I actually met Dr. Charles Ellis, I spoke with him on a panel, and it was for Aphasia Access, actually. Shout out to Todd Van Dyke. and his team, that's my boy. But everybody was so nice and kind. And that was what, from a person that worked in the finance auto industry, I found that to be so refreshing. Like nobody was talking about their billable hours. Nobody was talking about that trouble that they're having with a certain type of it was just, everyone was just LLP, which is, what is LPA? I'm sorry, life participation type of, how can we better these people's lives? And that was the big takeaway I heard from them was so it was just genuine. And I really I was really taken aback by their level of kindness that I heard.
Yeah, because the other thing is that sometimes as a minority, when you're going to these conferences and no one looks like you, very much it could be an isolating experience. And so anytime you go to a conference, or anytime that I've been to a conference and I felt like I didn't always have to be the one to initiate inclusion, those are the types of spaces that I feel like I want to be part of, and that also really not only just talk the talk about wanting diversity, but they're walking it, because they're going to come up to you and, engage you versus you sitting alone or just going back to your room after stuff.
Exactly. And it's good stuff. So we done talked the whole you're like, how you doing? I'm like, I'm great. We're gonna talk about this conference. That is so cool. But I am gonna pick your brain on how to be a good responder. I didn't know that you had that. So that'd be good. So what is going on? What are we talking about today?
So today we're going to talk about celebrity aphasias. We have a couple of people on the docket, and we want to definitely give the disclaimer that this is a brain friends conversation. We have not been consulted out.
We have not spoken with the family.
All of that.
We are available. There is a skill set available that my girl has. If you want to holler at my girl, you give her a call. She's available.
Definitely available. So we're going to do the real celebrity aphasia, and I have a couple of aphasia people, or not knowing if they all have aphasia, but these are individuals that have been in the media and have some type of brain injury, whether it is aphasia or stroke. So yeah,
that is definitely what's up. I had written read something, and I'm just going to share it, and hopefully it'll help us kind of get into it a little bit. It says there's different types of aphasia depending upon the severity of the cognitive impairment. Bruce Willis has aphasia in the most severe type, which involves the complete loss of speech and comprehensive abilities. Gabby Giffords has a different type of aphasia, which is a partial loss of speech and comprehension due to brain damage. And Fetterman has difficulty producing words, more like me, like he's more in line with me. So I just find that to be the fact that they're so, would Gabby Giffords be like Wernicke's or Broca's?
Right. So I'm not familiar with Gabby Giffords' classification.
Mm-hmm.
But recently I know the National Aphasia Association had a night with Gabby, to where it was her and her speech language pathologist kind of doing a Q&A and just engaging members, that the aphasia community. And based off of what I saw there, I wouldn't classify her as a Wernicke's, meaning someone that has difficulty understanding conversation and communication, because it seemed as if she was doing very well in that space. or even Broca's, because she was able to have fluency in speech. So I wouldn't necessarily classify her as that either. I think sometimes when it comes to the classifications, they're very helpful, but it can be challenging to classify someone based off of a snippet. So I would probably need to have heard a little bit more, and then also just not sure how much script training and preparation was given for that communication communication performance that she gave. Not performance. You know what I'm trying to say. Experience, show. But I do want to say one thing about Bruce Willis. So the thing with Bruce Willis is I'm not sure how much from a speaking or cognitive piece he is experiencing difficulty. But I will say one thing about Bruce Willis that's different from the other individuals you mentioned, Fetterman, Gabby Giffords, and even Sinbad, who I heard recently, or not recently, but is also recovering from a stroke. So one thing that's different about Bruce Willis is that his seemed to be more in line with what we would consider a primary progressive aphasia, which is, it seemed as if his challenges were a gradual onset that may be getting worse in nature as it progresses, or as he, gets older, versus the others, you're going to have more of an acute onset of challenge based off of an injury that's presented.
Okay, so Bruce probably didn't have a head injury like a stroke or anything. But so I'm more in line with Fetterman and our journey, where we, with therapy and things like that, we are, because of our onset, we are able to kind of get better, versus Bruce is in a progressive decline, like almost like a dementia or Alzheimer's would be. Like it's a shrinkage that's happening there. Is that correct?
Right. And so with the challenge of the progressive piece is, from a therapy perspective, even that therapy may look a little different, because for you, the goal is to try to find ways, or for you, Fetterman, the goal is to try to find ways for you to be able to communicate and strengthen those neurons and plasticity connections, where when something is in that progressive state, oftentimes therapy may shift to the caregivers or to the individuals around them in helping to support based off of the person's performance right there. Meaning that it'll be more challenging to keep training, like keep practice, because of the type of disorder that's causing it. That deterioration and atrophy might still be present.
Right. So we need to find maybe different modalities for him. Come on, modalities
and medicine. I high level saw, meaning I didn't read it all the way through, but I did see that there's some research out showing how a certain type of pharmaceutical drug is supporting in that slowing of the cognitive decline. So it's like even that verbiage, slowing of the cognitive decline versus eliminating or cognitive decline getting better. Kind of like that cellulite cream. When they say with the cellulite cream, they say it reduces the appearance.
Right, because it's still going to be there. But
it's still there.
It's still there, right. It's like good foundation.
I don't know about good foundation. I want it to smooth out, but yeah.
Right. Okay. You want it gone. I need this surgically. Is this cream going to handle this, or do I need to pay a copay? I need to know.
Okay, copay.
Come on, copay. So other than onset, what makes what are the hallmark differences other than acute sudden stroke?
Mhm.
Are there any other hallmark differences in the way it's treated or presented that you haven't already spoken on?
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest things, like just overall looking at when someone has a communication disorder related to stroke or related to a progressive type of disorder or progressive type of disease in nature, is understanding what that individual's strengths and weaknesses are. And so are they able to fluently communicate and get their words out? And so we would classify that as either non-fluent or fluent. Are they able to understand spoken language? So we would classify that as auditory comprehension, or their ability to understand receptive language. And so that goes back to that Gabby Gifford's piece. One of the reasons why I wouldn't necessarily think Wernicke's is because a hallmark feature of Wernicke's aphasia is the difficulty in auditory comprehension. And with her, I didn't see that. The other hallmark or classification tool would be an individual's ability to repeat, so repetition. So with Broca's, that might be a challenge, is the individual's ability to repeat whatever word. And so if you can't say the word on your own, but then I say it, your ability to repeat that word can also indicate a level of damage.
Oh, okay. Okay. That makes sense. I get that. We need to do an icebreaker though.
We done broke the ice.
We done broke the ice.
Okay, what you got for an icebreaker?
I'm gonna ask you, what is your movie that you could watch at any time of day? If you're not feeling well, it's just on in the background. You see it's on, you're like, oh word, I'm watching that. It's good. What's your movie?
I would say I'm going to go cliche. And I say cliche because I'm sure this is a favorite for many. But when you say anytime, I could watch it anytime. Okay, right. I have two. Anytime.
Go.
I'm going to go with Lean on Me and Love and Basketball.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, man. Love and Basketball I could watch right now.
Right. Okay.
And The Best Man. I mean, well, this is I don't know if you've seen the Best Man series. Have you seen that?
Oh my God, it's so good.
Right? Okay.
It's so good. Oh my God, it's so good. It's so good.
What are your movies?
Well, first of all, I might get a card revoked, but my first movie, and I'll give two. Back to the Future. Don't judge me, y'all. Don't come for me. Back to the Future is like, and I'm gonna go with Hitch. Is my second one. Hitch is one of my favorites. I love.
Oh, you know what? I'm gonna go watch Hitch. I haven't watched that one in a while.
And I liked Love and Basketball, but I didn't take, because I saw myself in Saleha Latham's in her character. I saw myself, but I didn't like the way she got played. Like I didn't so I didn't like the movie because I was like, no, well, first of all, that's your man.
Lady.
Was like, listen, I don't like the way you're handling any of it. Her nemesis, I didn't like the way she handled any of it. So my for the culture movie is Love Jones.
Oh, Love Jones. Oh, yes, I love Love Jones.
How about a breath mint and a visa? I love that a lot. I don't need poetry to get women. No, you need a visa and a breast mint. That was That was a great movie. That was a great movie. But all right. So listen, what's our time looking like?
Oh, now listen. Normally, I'm the one that's saying time to go. I'm giving you all the signals. We still have some more time. So I wanted to talk about another person that's had a stroke that would possibly be different than any of the other individuals that we spoke about, which is Sinbad.
Yes.
And from what I've seen, it appears that Sinbad might have had a right hemisphere stroke. And the reason why I say that is because I saw some pictures, and it seemed as if his left side had the hemiparesis. And since our brain is contralateral, the right innervates the left innervates the right. And so again, not being consulted on this case, but I think that he had a right hemisphere stroke.
So he would be able to, so he wouldn't have aphasia, because aphasia is the speech part of your brain is on the left.
Right. And so with him, we wouldn't necessarily classify any language challenges that he may be having as aphasia, but maybe challenges with cognitive communication. So his ability to think through and process thought that supports communication, his ability to stay aroused and have attention and memory. Oftentimes we see some of those things classified on the right hand side with right hemisphere strokes. Challenges with facial expression, prosody, speech.
So the hallmark differences between a right hemisphere, right side versus the left side. What are the hallmark differences?
So a lot of the hallmark differences with right versus left. So with left side, you're going to see that language piece. So difficulty understanding words, using words, whether it's verbal, written, difficulty, even possibly with some of those cognitive processes related to thinking and reasoning. Where with that right hemisphere, even though you might still have some of those communication elements, you might have more challenges with facial expression, under seeing someone's face and understanding who that is. Emotion, you might have some challenges with visuospatial skills. So understanding the perception and depth of things, the distance, shapes, localizing targets in space, understanding relationships between pictures and vision. And so oftentimes you see more of those things classified with
and that's
right
on the
hemisphere.
Right side.
Mm-hmm. Or you see more of those challenges in individuals with right hemisphere stroke.
Well, with emotional emotional challenges, it's a word for it. It's like not liability, and it's not, but
one can be emotional libel. Mm-hmm.
Libel, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's I feel like it was that was definitely a challenge for me.
Mm-hmm.
And shout out to Pfizer for this medication.
Yeah.
Stuff on track.
Right. Your
brain, when you have a brain attack, it changes everything. It changed my personality. I wasn't nearly as funny. I'm a good time. I was a good time.
Oh, you're still a good time now,
yeah,
honey.
Yeah, but I mean, I am. Thank you. I wouldn't be on here if I wasn't, but still.
Yeah. And that could be, and that's some of the differences that you'll see, or one of the differences that you can see between individuals that have right hemisphere stroke versus left hemisphere is both of you can have those moments of being emotionally labile. But oftentimes the difference is that left hemisphere stroke, because their problem solving and cognitive abilities may be stronger, they're able to apply reasoning skills to some of that, versus that right hemisphere stroke, you might see more challenges in cognition. And so the reasoning skills to help pull themselves out of that could be also more significantly impaired. Or the ability to recognize emotion, the ability to show emotion. And so, someone could be upset, angry, and that right hemisphere stroke might not be able to differentiate between an angry sounding voice and a happy sounding voice, or, see you crying and understand like, oh, wow, I've said something to upset you.
Right. It doesn't. Right. So they're not being mean. They really just can't process exactly what's going on. So if you've had a left side and a right side, and you're the caregiver, that's got to be insanely challenging on how do I get through to my loved one to have them understand what I'm going through.
Right.
That's terrible. I mean, you think about the caregiver and what they have to go through if, like I said, if you have left and right and your loved one is emotionally unavailable, and they have their own brain damages, so they're the ones that get all the care.
Right.
But you are like, listen, I'm over here trying to be the facilitator and the caregiver, and I got to understand everything they're going through, but who has to understand what I'm going through?
Exactly. And I think that's why it's so important to have the support groups, but also really, really important for caregivers, whether it's a right hemisphere stroke or a left hemisphere stroke, to make sure that they're communicating with the practitioner, their speech language pathologist, to give them insight into what's going on at home, because, they're only with that practitioner for 30 to 50 minutes, and the caregiver is with that individual in their most comfortable space, which is in the home. And so I just encourage all caregivers to seek out support. And if you need better support from your practitioner, tell them. Tell them.
They gonna have to find out. And listen,
you're gonna learn today.
You're gonna learn today. That's what you're gonna do. Well, listen, this has been a phenomenal learning experience, as it always is, Dr. Seles. But I think we're gonna have to leave it right there.
Oh yeah. Thanks so much.
Thank you for listening, downloading, and rocking with us. We are the Brain Friends.
Brain Friends. Bye.
Peace, y'all.